Welcome back to the Kevin O'Connor Show. We just watched the first round of the 2025 NBA Draft. And to recap it, King McClure and Vinny Goodwill, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Glad to be here. Late night, but glad to be here.
Very late night. 12:20 a.m. right now. We just watched the first round. We were live for 3 hours on Yahoo Sports. So we're going to go through some of the key thoughts that I got tonight. I want to hear from you guys as well with some of them. Number one, though, on my list here, though, most intriguing night was the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
They take Ace Bailey with the 5th pick. So many questions of what Ace Bailey, his destiny was going to be tonight, ends up going to Utah where he did not want to go. And then they trade up from 21 to 18 with 2 second-round picks to get Walter Clayton, who a lot of people expected to go to the Miami Heat with the 20th pick. King, what do you think about Utah's overall night with what they came away with Ace Bailey here and Walter Clayton?
You know, we talked about it on the show, and I love it. I mean, I am a huge Walter Clayton fan. When you look at some of the shots that he was able to hit when it came down to the NCAA tournament, matter of fact, all year, his sample size was massive. But that he had one of the most historic, greatest tournament runs that we have seen in a very, very long time. He shoots the ball off the dribble so well, particularly from deep, which I think is a skill that a lot of college guards do not possess. But not only that, the range in which he shoots them from, I think is elite. I think that Walter Clayton is the steal of the draft in the first first round. And Ace Bailey, I mean, we know that he has his flaws. However, this is a guy that can be a star. He has star potential when you look ahead at how good he can be. So I think the Utah Jazz had a really, really good night. And don't forget Will Riley, who has potential through the roof as well.
You just say you called Walter Clayton Steph-esque. And Vinny, like, you took issue with that. But esque
was doing a lot of work.
It's doing a lot of work, but like I think King is fair to say that because he was Steph-esque in the tournament. He's not going to necessarily be Steph in the NBA, but when you think about shot-making guard, Ace Bailey, shot-making wing, like, how do you think this fit is for the Jazz in the direction they're going now with Austin Ainge at GM?
Is the tank over? That's the question. You have to ask the Utah Jazz, are you serious about winning now, or are you still back in developmental stage? We have to keep losing. I'm surprised Walter Kessler is still there. Like, Walter Kessler is still there. You know what I mean? Like, the thinking of, maybe this will be the time that the Lakers make a trade and they go there. And it didn't happen.
A lot of teams could use a big.
Absolutely. Yes. But once again, John Collins picked up his contract, his option, and, you know, Larry Markkinen, maybe next year's a bounce back year. Do you have enough space for all of these elements to grow and for you to be a good to decent team? Or is it just, let's go and throw them out there, fight for your minutes, and we will figure everything else out on the back end?
I mean, to me, I think with Ace Bailey, it could be a blessing in disguise for him ending up in Utah. Like, I know it sounds like he wanted to stay on the East Coast. There's a lot of talk about him going to the Wizards with the 6th pick, and then it was a bit of a surprise he goes to the Jazz for the 5th pick. But I think Will Hardy's a really good head coach. I think they get a good system there for him to grow into. And there's, you know, like you said, they're not good by any means, but there's some veterans. Larry Markkinen, John Collins is 27 at this point. Colin Sexton had a really good year for them. Like, there's a lot of good quality pieces for him to grow alongside. It's not like he's going to a team where there's nothing there. I think he's going to be forced to kind of adapt on this team within their system. And I think with Walter Clayton, it's interesting. Like, does it say something about Keontae George? You're a Baylor guy as well. Does it say something about Isaiah Collier that they go for another guard here and add him to the pile now with all the young guys that they have that haven't really quite panned out?
Yeah, I mean, I think Walter Clayton is better than both those guys because I think the two things that
the shooting.
I think the shooting is a key aspect, but also he's a winner. So you provide winning to a team that desperately needs it because Ace Bailey, I mean, he's talented, but he is not a winner. As of right now, he's not a winner.
Can he grow winning qualities, you think?
So that's why
you covered him last year in college.
So that's why I wish he would have went somewhere like Washington. You know, being
so you don't
around,
like this fit with Utah?
Well, it's not that I don't like it. It's just that I wish that he had more veterans around him to help him understand how to win. I think this is a great place for him to be able to go be a star, like a star from day one. Ace Bailey living up to the hype, being an amazing player, but he can be a star but still be a loser at the same time. So I think that he's in a situation where he can go get buckets. He can go take those tough shots. But will he ever win anything? I don't know. We saw that at Rutgers. He hit tough shots, but he was never, ever a winner. And I think that is the problem, which is why I would like to see him around more vets, more veteran guys who can teach him how to win, because I don't know if he will ever learn how to win, especially being in Utah.
Vinny, there was a lot of talk before the draft that the Wizards really liked Ace Bailey at 6.
Yeah.
Were there any other teams that you heard like really connected? You know, Washington, New Orleans at 7. Were there any like sleepers for him or anything?
Those two, Washington, New Orleans. Some people thought that New Orleans might have been engaging in a little subterfuge there and saying, hey, tank all of your stuff and you'll fall down to us at 7, because there was no path for New Orleans to get up to 5 or 4. So, yeah, that was it. But here's the thing, guys. We all know the question marks throughout the draft process and his agent and then the losing. And you're not sure, like you said, were you part of a losing team or are you a losing player? That is always the biggest question mark when you have one and done players, because you don't have the large enough sample size to be able to judge and say, are you a talented guy that doesn't contribute to winning? Are you a guy who influences winning? Or are you a guy who drives winning? There's one driver of winning in this draft, and probably a couple of influencers, but there's one driver of winning.
Yeah. And I think the Hornets had an interesting draft too. They take Knipple with the 4th pick. Liam McNeely out of UConn falls all the way to number 29. They got that pick from the Phoenix Suns in a deal involving Mark Williams. So they send Mark Williams to Phoenix. They get the 29th pick. They get 2 shooters. One of them was an elite shooter in college basketball and Con Knipple at Duke last year. One of them was supposed to be an elite shooter and Liam McNeely at number 29. But what do you think about what they add to kind of this Hornet situation, Vinny? Because they haven't been very good. Like they just haven't. Guys haven't been healthy. So what's the direction here for the Hornets, you think?
Well, I won't say I'm fascinated, but when I look at their roster, I don't see a winner there, right? I don't see as many losers. I like Brandon Miller. Like, I think to me, before the injuries, I felt like he was better than advertised.
He was rising.
He was quicker. He adjusted, especially defensively, being able to guard multiple positions and being able to find his shot. Like, I liked where he was going. Then, like you said, Caleb, injuries happen. Those things happen. But I'm not sure how far you can go as far as LaMelo Ball being like the catalyst for everything.
Would you trade him or try to trade him?
Yeah,
I would. I would.
You wouldn't?
I would.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But like, what are you getting for LaMelo though?
That's the
you know, like is like the return for LaMelo so low that you're not getting anything that's worth it? You know what I mean? Like, is that the situation?
Who would you
for
rather
Trey in Atlanta, for LaMelo, like all these guards that you could say, well, maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't trade them. I just like every team has guards. Like Washington drafts Trey Johnson tonight. Like, are there going to be a team that's getting a guard anymore? Like the Kings still need a guard, but there's not a lot of teams that are like, they definitely need a point guard.
Yeah, I mean, that's the weird thing. The spot that we're at is, like you said, Trae Young I'm not as down on Trae Young as I would be on a LaMelo Ball, just because I have not seen you influence winning on any level. I saw Trae Young in that 2021 playoff run, influence winning, drive winning. I haven't seen it since, but I've seen it in that spot. And the point guard spot is so filled at this point. It's as deep as it's ever been from a talent standpoint, that you have to be really desperate if you need one. You have to be really like empty. Like, does Indiana go and fill that spot?
The Kings,
not for the price.
No, not with like a LaMelo Ball. But does that start like some level of domino effect, and then something that opens up for Charlotte? If Charlotte is smart enough to realize, are we going anywhere?
Yeah, I think with this Knipple pick, you get a little bit more serious. Even though I still don't think you're as serious, because I don't think too many people take the Charlotte Hornets as a serious
franchise.
As a serious franchise. But I think this Knipple pick is a pick in which you want to go the right direction, because old Charlotte, I think, takes an Ace Bailey. Right? I think you take an Ace Bailey and you just swing for the fences, and you might make it, you might miss. But I think this Knipple pick was a safe pick. It was a safer pick than we've seen in past few years by Charlotte. So I think it was a more serious type of pick in my book. More intentional with this pick, because it's safe. It's a safe bet. If I were to bet my money on all of these guys in the first round to be successful NBA players, Con Knipple would probably be top 3. That I actually put my money up and say, you know what? I think think this guy will be a really good NBA guy. So I think it was just a safe pick.
I mean, because like he's not just a shooter, like we talked about on the live show. You know, he can run pick and roll, he can score at the rim, plays hard on defense. I think Ken Nipple's going to be a good player too. And so for Charlotte, new front office led by Jeff Peterson, new head coach Charles Lee. It feels like the Hornets are becoming a more serious team. So I like their draft. What's the bigger surprise from draft night? Is it Hanson Yang going 16 to the Blazers, or is it the Nets using all 5 of their first, with 4 of them being on point guards, Yegor Demon, Nolan Traore, Ben Saraf, and Danny Wolf, and then they also drafted Drake Powell? What's the bigger surprise?
You know, for me personally, I'm going to go to the Nets, because like I just don't even know. Do they have a plan? Like what
the plan is get all rookies.
What is your plan right now? You get 4 guys who essentially do the same thing, no versatility. Right, they all do the same thing. They're all foreign guards except Danny Wolf and Drake Powell.
Who you love?
What you mean?
You love Danny Wolf.
Oh, I love Danny. Oh, I love
what
Danny.
What bucket is he in, King?
I love Danny.
What bucket is he in?
Listen, we're not going to do this.
What bucket is he in? What bucket?
Okay, let me clarify, okay? So when we were on the show, earlier, and I said, the way that Danny Wolf moves at 6'11", 7 foot at his size, right? The closest thing to compare him to, not level of impact. I'm not saying he's going to be the same guys. However, fluidity of movement at size, I would throw him into a very big bucket of Kevin Durant and Victor Wembanyama.
Jeez.
And is it a crazy statement? It might be a little bit crazy. However, I'm not saying he is that good. He's not that good, people. Let's not get it twisted. Don't kick me off the pot.
He's in the unicorn bucket is what you're saying.
He's in that unique
the unique 7-footer.
How many unicorns do we have in the league? I feel like we got like 30 unicorns.
How many unicorns do we have?
We have a lot of
We have a lot of them.
You think so?
That's
I think so.
People who've been given a nickname of unicorn.
Who?
We got a few.
Name 5.
5?
Bobo.
Right. Katie. Katie's a unicorn. Porzingis is a unicorn. Chet is a unicorn, right?
Nah.
Giannis is a who's been labeled that?
I wouldn't put Chet as a unicorn. I wouldn't.
Okay, fine.
I think some people have labeled him that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Giannis is a unicorn.
So we got Giannis and KD for sure.
Victor,
3.
Yep.
Zion.
Bobo, I'm not kidding. Though I say Bobo, like people.
I mean, Bobo was a major miss, though. But
of course.
you're right. Bobo.
But like the point is like what Vinny's saying is there's like a lot of bigs that can shoot threes nowadays. A lot of bigs that can handle the ball and initiate offense, and that's why like with Danny Wolf, it's just interesting what Brooklyn did. Like to me, it's fascinating. First of all, they keep all 5 picks.
Mm-hmm.
You reported before, or at least we talked about it, that they were trying to trade up for number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to consolidate picks to go get Dylan Harper. It did not work out. But they draft 4 guys, different shapes and sizes. Yegor Demon, 6'8", 6'9", at BYU. Nolan Traore, fastest player in the draft class, French guard. Ben Saraf, he is a guy, 6'6", creator, moves more at his own pace and all that. And then Danny Wolf, a dude who ran point for Michigan last year, running big pick and rolls with Golden. Yeah. It's all 4 of them are different in size, but they all share one concern, and that is shooting. None of them are reliable shooters. And so I think for the Nets, they have their own pick in 2026. They're setting up to stink next year, but they're also setting up to be interesting in terms of like at least one of these guys, you hope, shows like, hey, he can be part of our future in the long term. Whereas with the Blazers one, arguably more surprising because they drafted Donovan Clingan last year.
Mm-hmm.
They still got Robert Williams on the roster, still got DeAndre Ayton on the roster. And then they draft Hanson Yang out of China, who played really well at the NBA draft combine. Vinny, is a DA trade happening? A Robert Williams trade happening? Is that what's coming?
Something absolutely has to happen, especially when you look at the upward trajectory that you thought Portland was going to be on. When you acquire a player like Drew Holiday, assuming you want to keep him. Now, whether you wind up keeping him is a different story, but if you're trading him with the intention to keep him and getting off of Ant Simon's, money, so to speak, even though he's expired, some things don't make too much sense. Their defense looked really good. DeAndre Ayton, not so much, right? I used to be really high on DeAndre Ayton maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Did you have him ahead of Luka?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm
just
no
asking.
fool.
Just
I'm no,
asking.
come on.
Okay, I've made some
Do I look
foolish.
like Gar
I've made some foolish choices too.
Do I look like Gar Forman to you? No, I'm just playing. No, Gar actually loved Luka coming into that draft. But no, you have one big too many, or two bigs too many. But I don't know if this kid's going to play year one. Like you know what I mean? Like you draft him to develop him and see what happens, especially when you got Ayton and Robert Williams still there. Like I would say that's just
more of a project. I would think so too. Because,
right?
But like even then though, like you got Klingon, and he like they were great defensively with Klingon on the floor last year. Like I'd imagine they're going to be playing some twin towers lineups with two bigs. And in today's NBA, we're seeing more teams do that. It's just in the postseason, like with OKC. Isaiah Hartenstein, his minutes start to dwindle in the finals a little bit. You're going with more one big. Yeah. With Portland, it's just I'm very, very intrigued that they actually ended up going with him at the 16th pick when there was all indications seemed to be that he'd be a late first or second rounder. I had a source tell me before the draft with Hanson Yang, they're like, yeah, second round in all likelihood. It'd be surprising if he goes much higher than, unless they were trying to keep a secret. And maybe it was, maybe they knew all along that Portland was going to be the team for him in the middle of the first round, or something they had to keep quiet. But both of those were surprising. I think, King, during the show, you had mentioned that you were surprised that the Spurs are just keeping Harper.
Yeah.
I've talked on this podcast a lot about some of the concerns with the shooting next to Stephon Castle and next to De'Aaron Fox. As you've thought more about it, has your tune changed at all with that? Or are you still thinking they're going to have to shake things up at some point?
No, I think they still have to shake things up because, I mean, look at Vinny.
Who's the odd man out there?
Yeah, Vinny made a really good point earlier. I mean, he said that you can figure it out and worry about that later. However, he also made a good point saying that it's not over with yet and we could see movement. But if you had to choose, I mean, Stephon Castle just won Rookie of the Year. He's not the oddball out. You got to keep a guy like him. Are
you saying De'Aaron Fox is the guy that's got to go?
I'm not saying that because I think that, I mean, I guess the Spurs didn't know that they were going to be in this situation, so they went to go get a De'Aaron. They got a De'Aaron Fox, but I don't know. It's between one of the lefties.
Is that who you think it is? Is it Fox? He hasn't re-signed yet.
From a cost control standpoint, from an extension standpoint, yeah, he's the easiest one. When you got two players on rookie deals, that kicks that can down the road. You can let those guys develop. Yeah, you didn't know that you were going to be in a position to have the second pick in the draft. You're in San Antonio. You have to take chances. And when a player like De'Aaron Fox decides to ask out, a player that talented, no matter what you think of him, even if you don't think that he's the winner guy, that San Antonio Spurs quintessential point guard, you go after and you figure out the rest on the back end. And unfortunately for them, the back end showed up real quick. But I don't think that you not take Dylan Harper. I am 100% with you with taking him, and you figure it out. Like, there's nothing wrong with internal competition. Like, when did we start shying away from saying, hey, you compete against this guy every day and see what happens? Since when do when you hand people minutes? Remember when Portland handed Scoot Henderson minutes and it was clear that he was not ready for the point guard position? That's the thing that I'm thinking about, too.
Sure.
You got double bigs. Do you have enough space for Scoot Henderson to be Scoot Henderson? It feels like those are dueling agendas that they're building right now.
I'm going to have to combat you on that because I think that handing minutes, right, is not something that I'm necessarily saying, right? But I think when you talk about competing for minutes, in a situation when you have a borderline all-star guard and you have the number 2 pick, I just don't think that those two things, and you have the Rookie of the Year, I just don't think that those 3 players should be competing for minutes. I think that the number 2 pick is good enough for you to build around, even though you do have Victor, right? So you're not technically building around him, but I do think he's good enough where if you didn't have Victor, you build around him. I think De'Aaron Fox is good enough on a certain team that you can plug him in and he's a borderline all-star guy, right? So I think at a certain caliber, certain players shouldn't be competing for minutes. I think it's a certain caliber of players should be just handed minutes in a certain sense. They shouldn't have, the number 2 pick should not have to compete with a borderline all-star guy.
Can they play together then? Can you play them in a 3-guard rotation?
If they shot the ball better, yes. But they do not shoot the ball well enough to play together. That's my biggest concern. All 3 of them are very similar. I mean, it looks different, but they're all similar. They're guys who want to get towards the rim and do not shoot it well enough from behind the arc.
Now, Vincent, let's say the Spurs do feel, well, we just drafted Dylan Harper. We're in on Stephon Castle. We're not so sure we want to sign Fox long term. Who were some of the other teams that were interested in Fox prior to the Spurs acquisition?
It's funny. Portland I felt like was interested in De'Aaron Fox right before then. But if you put all your eggs in the bucket of Scoot right now, and then even if you get him, you have the same exact problem because De'Aaron Fox is not a shooter. I mean, Sacramento needs a point guard. You can't ship him back there. The problem is
Miami.
Miami.
They drafted Kasparas Yakachonis, but he's not going to change your.
No, he's not changing. He's not changing your mind on anything. And if nothing else, if you are Miami, you have to have a star already there to attract a Giannis Antetokounmpo. Bam is a glue guy that if he gives you 15 and 10, you feel really good, but you can't ask him to give you 25 and 12.
Yes.
Especially as someone who's undersized, which means if you're asking him to do more, he's more susceptible to get hurt, and you do not want those problems.
I think when it comes to, like we mentioned Miami there, I just can't figure out exactly what they're doing here. They bypass Kevin Durant opportunity. A year ago, 2 years ago, it's Damian Lillard. They don't make the best offer there. They don't go all in. Kasparas Yakachonis, 11 of his 33 games with more turnovers than made shots.
That's a hell of a stat.
I mean, it's scary.
That's a crazy stat.
So I think with Miami, I just question what the hell is actually going on here. You got Pat Riley, 80 years old, still wants to try to win games, but like they're just stuck in the middle. So like to me, Miami as the team that I look at is like had the most questionable worst night. Vincent, like what do you think? Like who had the worst first round that we saw tonight?
It probably would have to be Miami, right? Because you just don't know what the hell they're doing. And that's unfortunate because that is a respected organization that has earned a lot of the benefit of the doubt from the media, from the fans, from everybody. And that's Pat Riley. Like nobody wants to tell Pat Riley, you lost your fastball. But you don't know exactly what the plan is. If the plan is to continue to overachieve, which has been the plan since they acquired Jimmy Butler in 2019. Like they've been at this spot, even though they had the 1 seed and 23.
Yeah.
It felt like they were a hard playing team that overreached, as opposed to a team that was talented enough to really get there. So now you're at a point where you don't have Jimmy Butler. That thing was ugly. You can assign whatever blame you want to assign it, but the bottom line is the stewards of the franchise, you wonder what's the best decision for the sake of the Miami Heat franchise and who's making those decisions. And if that is Tyler Hero signing a big money extension, which he's eligible to sign for, and Bam Adebayo being your 2 best players, or if you're just comfortable being in purgatory.
That doesn't get you anywhere. It just doesn't. I mean,
it's not going to get you anywhere.
It doesn't. King, what do you think who had the worst first round tonight?
I have to agree. Because
Miami. We all consensus Miami.
It seems like it.
None of us like KJ. None of us like what
I'm not a huge
doing.
fan on KJ, especially when you had dudes like Nick Clifford still on the board. And Pat Riley has shown last year, and Jaime Jaquez, he's not afraid to take older guys. Older guys who have had success in college basketball. So why would you not get a guy who is more versatile, can do more, and doesn't have as many turnovers, can play both sides of the floor? He just seems like he would fit into that toughness culture of the Heat a lot better. I'm huge on Nick Clifford. I think the Kings got a great pick in him, but I would take him any day over this KJ. Too late to try to pronounce all that. But I just don't see it when I look at this, man. And I agree with you 100%. I loved what you said on the show, how you went into your little 30-second rant on Pat Riley. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I thought it was genius. I thought it was spot on. If you want to go into it again, I would love to hear it 2.0. But I
just worry that the dude who's saying 80 is the new 60 is actually washed up.
Yeah.
That's my concern with Pat Riley, and that his time has passed him by after some recent decisions with the Heat franchise. That's my concern there. And maybe they'll make a surprise trade. Maybe they get something up their sleeve. Maybe they're waiting for Giannis Antetokounmpo, as you suggested, Vinny. We'll see with Miami, but I didn't like what they did tonight. The flip side of that, who do you think was the best non-Cooper pick, King?
As I look on the board, the best non-Cooper pick. You know what? I got you. I got a new one for you. I'm going Trey Johnson.
I like it.
I'm going Trey Johnson because I think he's just in a spot where he can learn from Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum, 2 guys who do similar things, who score the basketball just like he does. It's not the exact same. However, CJ McCollum's a little bit smaller, Chris Middleton a little bit bigger, so he's right in between, but I think he can learn so much from these guys as far as how to be an efficient scorer in the NBA, and I think he's going to fit in right there. He can fit into that 2 spot. I think that this is great for his development. I think this is strictly a development pick. I love this. I love the maturity that he's going to be able to grow and get from year one. He's not going to be asked to do as much because you have guys around him who can do it, but he's going to learn. I think this is huge for him. I love the Trey Johnson pick.
Who you got, Vincent?
I can't believe I'm about to say this. Because the team that should trade Zion Williamson didn't trade Zion Williamson. But I like Jeremiah Fears.
Yeah, he's good.
I like that. And I like the fact that you came back into it, right? You traded back up into when you got Derek Queen. Like, boom or bust, so to speak. But when you get someone at, 13, you can afford. If you're trading up.
And as you said, they considered him at 7.
Right. And you consider him at 7. I like Fears because they need a point guard. And that's the most important position. Now you're no longer in a spot where you got to go and trade for a De'Aaron Fox or a Trae Young or go desperate in some spot. Prudent moves, calculated risks for a franchise that has so many landmines already in it. What are you going to do with Trey Murphy? What are you going to do with Herb Jones? What are you going to do with Zion Williamson? They made prudent picks, and they can address those other things without feeling like, man, we effed up the draft. They didn't F up the draft tonight.
No, I don't think they did either. I mean, Queen, I got my concerns there with, New Orleans cooking with his conditioning issues, but ultimately, like Queen, his upside there is pretty significant with that situation there. And I like Fears. I think Fears is a great fit there too. I think for me, I got 3 on my mind. Cedric Howard at number 11, Memphis moving from 16 to 11, moving up for him. Coward, one of the best stories in the entire draft, D3 to first round pick, a lottery pick. Coward, I think at a minimum going to be a 3-and-D guy. Has a chance to be a star, as I've talked about a lot on this podcast. Jace Richardson at number 25 to the Magic. All the concerns about his shooting kind of mitigated playing next to Wagner and Wendell Carter and Paolo Banchero and all their lengthy defenders there. I can't wait to see what the Magic do in the second round with their multiple seconds they have, because there's more shooters available.
They might be able to come up huge.
I know
tomorrow. Yes,
I know. Seriously, I think with them, like they could get multiple guys, and suddenly the roster could feel like pretty full with shooters. You trade for Bane, and then you have 46 is their next pick coming up.
What if they could get
46
Kobe Brea?
and 57? Like, you're kind of in range for a guy like that.
You could get a Kobe Brea 6'7" shooter that gives you even more length and can space the floor and contribute immediately.
46 and 57 for Orlando. And then Asa Newell going to Atlanta at 23. They were considering him at 13. So you move down 10 spots.
Right.
You get up another future first round pick, and you still get a guy you might have taken at 13 anyway. This is a cool story too. Like, from Georgia, goes to college at Georgia, and then he gets drafted by the Hogs. I just think it's cool. Some quick hit questions. Cooper Flagg goes to the Mavericks, number 1. No surprise there. Vincent, if Anthony Davis stays healthy and if Kyrie Irving comes back healthy from his torn ACL, and if Cooper Flagg is the Rookie of the Year, are the Dallas Mavericks a finals contender?
Okay, finals contender means you're at least in the second round.
Yeah.
They make finals.
Okay, conference finals?
They can make the conference
NBA finals.
That's a tough.
Those are 3 big ifs. I just said if AD stays healthy, if Kyrie, if Cooper Flagg is Rookie of the Year. Those are big ifs.
Yeah, you got to tell me how much decline Klay Thompson has next year. You got to tell me if Derek Lively II is healthy. You got to tell me, what's healthy for Anthony Davis, because 70 games is as healthy as you're going to get.
2020 AD healthy.
We playing in a bubble? That's what we doing?
No, but he's healthy.
Huh?
He's healthy. He's healthy.
Okay. All right, cool. Give him 2 months off and then start the playoffs. We're going to be just fine. No, I think if best case scenario, they are battling with Houston and Minnesota and Oklahoma City. Man, the West is loaded.
I know. It's so
you didn't even mention the Denver Nuggets.
The West,
you know what I mean? And the best player on earth. You didn't even mention them as saying, if all things break, this is where
crazy.
you can be.
Well, what if what if the Warriors make another move? Like, what if the Warriors play as well all of next season as they did second half of last year after getting Butler?
I don't trust that, because you're talking about an older team.
I agree with you. I agree.
And when you have to press the button from February on, like you're in playoff mode, but you can't manufacture that in November and December when you're trying to figure stuff out and you lose games that you shouldn't, and then you find yourself in the play-in because you got just enough wins. I don't know if I trust that with an extra year Steph Curry.
Do we even mention Minnesota? Like, they've been in 2 conference finals in a row. But like,
that's what I said. They're in the 4. They're in the 4.
But that's like the point here. Like you said, the West is so low. Like, you forget to say teams. Like, there's just so many good teams that you can make arguments for.
Clippers,
Lakers.
more.
We didn't even say the
LA teams. Yeah,
it's just like it's endless in the Western Conference. What do you think, though? You're a Dallas guy.
I don't think so. I think the West is too loaded, man. I think Houston and OKC is not going anywhere. I think Houston is going to be so tough to beat. I think they're going to be a problem. So are
you factor in them making another move possible?
No, I think as is right now, just adding KD.
Are they going to make another move, Vincent?
I would think they would like to.
But if they make that,
I don't think they're going to force it. They're not going to force it.
If they make that move,
it's
a wrap.
Which one?
That move.
Yes.
It's done. It's over for the whole NBA.
Here's my thing. I don't want a 37-year-old Kevin Durant to have the bulk of offensive possessions run through him,
which it is right now.
Which is going
Şengün too. I don't want to diminish.
But I wonder how he fits, how they operate on the certain spots of the floor. Because KD likes those pin downs.
That's true.
Şengün likes to get those pin downs right in the center of the floor and work. I'm wondering how Ime Udoka gets KD to buy into that certain
they
level
could work
of
together possibly too. Like Şengün dribble handoffs into Kevin Durant. Maybe
KD don't like exotic offenses.
Yeah.
KD give me the ball and get out the way. Clear out 1-5. Let me cook.
He used to run around those pin downs in Oklahoma City and Golden State. Maybe you bring a little bit of that type of motion back with him. But I think with Dallas, I'm gonna say yes if all those ifs.
But how many teams can we say that if about and find out? If Luka's in shape, if LeBron turns back the clock again and they get a big this thing is so freaking wonky.
100%. You can say it about a bunch of teams. King, did Philly make the right choice with VJ Edgecombe at number 3?
Yeah, I personally think so. At that number 3 spot, I would have either went VJ Edgecombe or Trey Johnson. I think the reason why they did go, reason why I would go yes, is because I think VJ Edgecombe is more of a two-way player than Trey Johnson right now. As all the shooting concerns that we have for VJ Edgecombe, we know he's an electrifying athlete. We know that he can play both sides of the basketball. We know that his shooting has improved and he has continued to get better. And this young man cares. He cares and he wants to work. Now, you don't necessarily know what you're going to have with Embiid. You don't know what you're going to have with Paul George.
You know what you're going to have. They're going to be hurt.
Yeah, I guess you kind of do know what you're going to have. But you have a guy in VJ Edgecombe where you have your backcourt, Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and I think that Maxey can create enough to be able to get VJ some shots. But I would like to see VJ's self-creation get better. It has to improve. A lot of his points were through transition or catch and shoot threes. There wasn't a lot of self-creation unless he was in the open court where he was electrifying.
But here's the thing. If you're counting on Paul George and Joel Embiid,
he didn't have to do that.
How much of that is he's going to be counting on to do?
Yeah, not much. And that's what I'm saying. So,
and if they're not there, you're screwed anyway. So it doesn't matter. You're just playing for player development.
Let's even remove Joel Embiid from the equation. Let's just say Embiid's never healthy again. And it's worst case scenario for the Sixers when it comes to their contention hopes. Let's say Paul George continues to be a better podcaster than basketball player. And it's just not there anymore. VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain is your young three. A lot of shooters.
Yeah,
quick, fast.
That's good. Yeah,
isn't that kind of promising? Those three.
I like that. Tyrese Maxey is great. Dallas kid. I love that. Jared McCain.
He from Dallas?
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey from Dallas.
He don't got the shag.
Listen, you and this jag is crazy. But Jared McCain can play, really, really smart guard, can play well in a pick and roll, good pace. And then you add VJ Edgecombe, electrifying defender, can be a two-way player. I like the backcourt. I think it's very promising. Don't forget about my man's Jared Butler if he doesn't get traded, which I don't know, he might. But he can play too.
Did they do something different this time? Did the Philadelphia 76ers, by not taking Ace Bailey, did that signal a philosophical change? Because if any team is going to pick a player who says, no, I'm not playing for you, it's the 76ers. Are they learning something, or is this just a temporary stay of execution given the fact that they got Paul George?
I think it shows two different things. I think it shows they're prioritizing both the short term and the long term. And then they're not going to take a risk on a guy that doesn't help you maximize your chances today. I think they have no choice but to gamble that Joel Embiid stays healthy and that Paul George has a bounce back year. They have to hope for the promising upside of what could be. Like they banked on Paul George being their free agent acquisition. It worked out, and then it didn't work out during the season. But maybe this year would be different. Like, it's just possible. And so I think VJ Edgecombe helps as a role player in the short term, where all those concerns you're talking about long term don't matter. But in the long term, maybe he ends up figuring it out as a shot creator, and he plays more like that long term. So I like the pick for Morey and the Sixers there at 3 because it checks both those short term and long term boxes. Will it get him over the top? That depends on Embiid and Paul George, and you're shaking your head like it's just not gonna, and like that's totally fair. But maybe one year.
The stars align. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe,
you believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny too, Kevin?
we get some young listeners. Of course I do. Last thing I want to talk to you guys about. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they win the NBA Finals. They win it on Sunday. They have a parade on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, first round of the NBA draft, they enter with 15 and 24. They trade away 24 to the Kings for a future pick. They selected Nick Clifford. But with 15, they took Thomas Sorber out of Georgetown. Late in this process, as I'm reevaluating my big board, I had Malawach as my number 1 big for most of the year, King. I had Derek Queen for a short time during March Madness. Sorber missing most of the end of the season for Georgetown with that foot injury he had kind of floated under the radar for me.
Yeah.
And then at the draft combine, everything I heard, clean bill of health, no concerns long-term with Sorber, from what I understood. And then I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, well, he's not quite the defender that Malawach is. He's not quite the shot creator that Queen is. He's not quite the athlete that Beringer is. But, like, he's good at literally everything.
Yeah.
He's the best all-around big. And I'm watching him back at Georgetown, and I'm seeing, like, 26 points per 100 possessions different on defense with him on the floor versus off the floor. They were, like, one of the best defenses in the nation with him on the floor. And I'm like, I think he's the best overall big in the class, and OKC gets him at 15. Am I in the right to feel that Sorber was the best big, or is that a little bit of over-analysis?
No, I mean, I would probably take Malawach over him, but I definitely think he's probably second. Because the thing is, like you said, he's solid. He's just solid at everything. I mean, he's not a great athlete, doesn't have the pop that you would like to see. He's not really a lob threat, but he's just very solid. I mean, his length, the 7'6" wingspan, has great timing, great hands, good finisher. I mean, he is just a solid big that can get the job done. And when we look at what Oklahoma City has done in the draft, they know something that we don't know because they don't miss. Them dudes in OKC do not miss when it comes to draft picks. So I think that they saw something in this young man. He can contribute, but he's not under pressure to contribute immediately because you're going to a team that already has Chet. They have Hartenstein. So now you can just go get better at practice. You can continue to work on your craft. And one day we look up and see, hey, this young man is good. They got him at 15, and OKC, once again, won in the draft.
If there was one hole on OKC this year, do you think it was have another big in the rotation?
Yeah, I mean, one hole that you could fill in the draft, you could make the case. Maybe they need another guy that can go and get it, right? Like, okay, that's fine.
Like a third one behind Jalen Williams and Shea.
Yeah, because until Chet turns into the guy, maybe Chet never is the second guy. Maybe J-Dub and Chet are both the second guy, and if that's the case, baby, we all got problems. We're going to be planning in Oklahoma City for the next 5 Junes, and that, my friends, will not be fun.
You got tornado warnings, man.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I was about to cuss.
I was thinking to myself before the finals, like, man, like it kind of sucks to not be there for any of the games. I'm doing post-game pops for all of them, but then I see tornado warnings. I'm like,
don't feel bad.
I'm thankful.
Don't feel bad. You can't land, you can't touch down, or you got to circle because it could be something. No, sir. But Oklahoma City does so many things right. You feel like, wait, how did I miss something on this kid? That's what you're thinking. If you're sitting at 10 and they take him at 15, you're like, man, did we miss out on something? and that's they make you second guess yourself.
It's the opposite. Like for me, I was like, oh, woo, I must have seen something.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah,
Sam
yeah.
Presti's taking him. But yeah, I mean, they also have the 44th pick in the second round on Thursday night. Last question here. Best day 2 player available, King?
Man, I mean, there's so many good ones here on the draft board.
It is.
You know, I could really go a multitude of ways. I think I'm gonna name 2 for you. I really love Rasheer Fleming from St. Joe's. So I think he has that versatility at 6'9", to really be a good 3-and-D prototypical wing. Great athlete, shot 39% from the three-point line. I love him. Another guy I love is Cam Jones. I think at Marquette, he took a major step with Kolek, going to the draft. I think the biggest question mark for him was, can he be a playmaker? Because he was such a scorer with Kolek. Well, he stepped into that role, and it wasn't just a yes, it was a hell yes. This dude became an elite-level playmaker, averaging, I think, 6 or 7 assists per game. The way he facilitated, he had to do all of the facilitating last year for this Marquette team because they really didn't have anybody else who could do it.
They lost Kolek.
And they lost Kolek, and he had to be that guy to literally, Shaka Smart said, hey, you're doing everything. He did everything for that team. He could score and he could facilitate. So I think you're getting a guy in Cam Jones who's immediately ready to make an impact on an NBA team. His guarding has to be a little bit better, but I think that his playmaking and his scoring, he can play a role in which a lot of guards can't. So I think that he's a guy who can look up in about 3-4 years. He's having a really solid backup career in the NBA.
I think that's a good one. My top player available is Maxime Reynaud out of Stanford. I had him 15th on my board. Big man, 7'1", who can shoot it, who can attack closeouts. After that, you can see my top 10 on the screen remaining. Markovic, Serbian player, played for the same team Jokic did. Adu Thiero, dominant at the rim.
A dog.
There's a dog, as you said. Kalkbrenner, a big man. Penda, a playmaking forward. Jameer Walkings, Fleming, Lanier, Elijah Martin, Sally. A lot of dog, like tough, hard-nosed defensive players that are remaining. And we'll see, top of the second round, the Wolves, they have an opportunity to get a good player
There's
here.
a lot of old guys.
A lot of 23, 24-year-old guys
in this second round. So I think you have more. I honestly think you have more guys in this second round who can immediately make an impact and contribute to winning quicker than a lot of guys in the first round.
Hey, King, Vincent, appreciate you guys joining me tonight.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Long night, but glad to be here.
Very long night.
A lot of fun tonight. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks to the whole team here at Yahoo Sports in New York City for producing the live show tonight and my show, the podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll be back again on Friday morning with my podcast. Tom Havishrow and I will recap the whole second round and the whole draft as a whole. And who knows, maybe we'll get some more trades by then. Let me know if that phone buzzes, Vincent, with some more trades. Thank you guys for watching and listening to the podcast. We'll be back again very soon.